This video is going to be about how we add and subtract fractions. So my first example here, we've got a fifth add 3/10. Now the problem at the moment is that I'm trying to add these shapes. I'm trying to add 1/5 to 3/10, which is down here. 3 of those. Now at the moment I can't add those together because a fifth here is a different shape to a tenth here. But what I can see is that 1/5 is the same as 2/10. So what I'm trying to do is find a number which both 5 and 10 fit into. So what that's called, that's actually the lowest common multiple of 5 and 10. And you can see that because I can write a fifth as 2/10. So the lowest common multiple of 5 and 10 is 10. So, question to yourself, what do I have to do to make 5 equal to 10? When I multiply it by 2. So if I do that to the denominator, I have to do the same to the numerator. And so 1/5 is the same as 2/10. So the question becomes 2/10 and 3/10. Now it's really important that you remember to multiply the top as well, because this 2/10 has to be an equivalent fraction to a fifth. And by an equivalent fraction, I mean that on my fraction wall here, it has to take up the same amount of space. So 1/5, you can see, takes up the same amount of space as 2/10 here. And then I've got 2/10 add 3/10, so altogether I have 5/10. And then if I want to simplify that fraction, I find a common factor of 5 and 10. So that means a number that fits into both 5 and 10. Well, that number is 5, because I can do 5 divided by 5 and get 1, and 10 divided by 5 and I get 2. So, next example is going to be 3/8 add 1/3. Now this one isn't quite so easy to do and see in terms of looking on here. So, I'm going to try and apply the same principle as in the first example. So in the first example I did 1/5 add a tenth. I found a number that 5 and 10 both fit into. So I'm going to do the same here. Find the lowest common multiple of 8 and 3. So I need to multiply this by 3, and this by 3, and this by 8, and this by 8. Because the lowest number that both these numbers fit into is 24. So 3/8 becomes 9 out of 24, and a third becomes 8 out of 24. So in total I get 17 24ths. And my last example is going to include some mixed numbers. So in this one, I'm going to have a question of 2 and 5/9 minus 1 1/2. Now I'm doing a subtraction this time, but the rules we use are exactly the same as when we add fractions. We just subtract at the end rather than add. Now, with this harder question, I need to first convert this to a fraction. So in 1 whole 1, I'll have 9/9. So in 2 whole 1s, I'll have 18/9. So that's 18/9. Add another 5, so that's 23/9. And then over here, there are 2 halves in 1 whole. Add on this extra half, so that's minus 3 halves. And now the question looks like the previous ones. I need to find a number that both 9 and 2 both fit into. So that number is actually 18. To make that 18, I need to times that by 2, and that by 2, and that by 9, and that by 9. So I end up with 46/18 minus 27/18, and then I just do the subtraction. So 46 minus 27 is 19, so I get 19/18, and if I want to convert that back to a mixed number, 18 goes into 19 once, and then I've got 1 left over to go up to 19. So, some questions for you to try in your books now, please. 4 questions there for you, which should take you through the examples I just did in the same level of difficulty.